I'd like to welcome everybody to the Southbridge Town Council meeting, Monday, March 11th, 2024, 7 p.m., McKinnon Council Chamber. Agenda item number 1, Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moving on to agenda item number 2, roll call. Mr. Vice Chairman.
Councilor Adams.
Present.
Councilor Shenier.
Present.
Councilor Daniel.
Excused.
Councilor Dow.
Present.
Chairman Lazo.
Present.
Councilor Marquetti is present. Councilor Montigny.
Present.
Councilor Ortiz.
Present.
Councilor Rivas.
Present.
We have a quorum.
We have a quorum. Moving on to agenda item number 3, subcommittee reports. DPW.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. We had a meeting on March 3rd, agenda items number 9, 11 through 17, and 19 are in tonight's agenda, and go one by one as they get called up. Thank you.
Moving on to Education and Human Services. Councilor Rivas.
No meeting and no report at this time.
Moving on to General Government. Councilor Montigny.
We had no meeting and no meeting scheduled yet at this time.
Planning and Development, no meeting at this point, and no report. Moving on to Protections of Persons and Property, Councilor Shenier.
No report, no meeting scheduled.
Moving on to agenda item number 4, consider and accept special school committee meeting minutes from February 7th, 2024.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Councilor Shenier, seconded by Councilor Dow. Are there any additions, corrections, or deletions to the minutes of that meeting? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to Chairman's announcements. I would just like to take a minute to talk about the Hamilton Mill. I was called to the site by one of the business owners, and they wanted me to see what was going on the back side of the building. It was a major collapse. In looking at the building, I notified the town manager, notified the commissioner of buildings and the building inspector. And the reason why I bring this up, I know everybody has seen the building being taken down, but what was most impressive from the chair's perspective was the professionalism and how expedient town manager and his department heads handled the takedown. It was a very dangerous situation. On the backside of that building was the only roadway to get to the businesses. And I just have to compliment town manager and his department heads. Job well done. That's probably one of the quickest takedowns that I've seen in recent history. I know we've dealt with a lot of different department heads and managers that probably would have said, we'll take care of it next week. But I'm impressed and proud to be part of a team of people that get it done. Good job. Moving on to town manager's announcements. Mr. Town Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. First update on Henry Street. On Saturday, I was down at the Henry Street location and met with National Grid. The pole was replaced. They will continue to get it operational. They're waiting for some information to try to see if they can expedite getting that connected. Thank you to the crew that was down there for that completion on that. In regards to the demolition on Mill Street, we are continuing to work with the building department to assess the condition of the main building. I'd like to thank the fire department for putting up the drone. We took a lot of photographs regarding the condition of that larger structure, and that information will be passed off to the building commissioner to do further assessments. I believe the next step would be for us to look towards a structural engineer for that main building and the safety of that, because there are some definite concerns that we have with that structure. We'll continue to do that. We have identified some further work with our tax title attorney and working through that process. Over the weekend, I'm sure some individuals found something posted regarding a discharge of materials into the Quinnebog River. That was addressed quickly by the DPW director. He's been in touch with DEP. That pipe that was found to be broken was remediated by Franklin Realty, and that has been taken care of, and we thank the DPW director for that quick action. Regards to the solid waste and recycling, we continue to work towards this April 1st implementation. We're only 2 weeks out. Casella has assured me that the flyers have been mailed, or so we're waiting to get that out to everyone. We're working to verify or go live on the opt-out through OpenGov. We have some more testing to do on that. There's some testing going on next week in regards to the billing program, so we'll continue to work on that. Maritza today filmed with the cable department, filmed a Q&A, facts and questions, and that will be going out onto the cable access. In regards to leaf and yard waste drop-off, I worked with the DPW director. We looked for some solutions in regards to how we're going to manage that. And a reminder that the last Household Hazardous Waste Day that will be sponsored by Casella is scheduled for March 30th. Also, if you have any bulk, you only have a couple weeks to use the program that the town has through Casella, and then it'll transition to the next phase where you will have to pay for that. So that's what we have on that. In regards to budget and finance, we're reviewing all the budgets going forward. We started budget meetings with department heads today, working with Dean and Michelle, and every department head. We're analyzing those budgets and finding some of the concerns that we will have through last year's budget process, some little issues that we'll bring forward to the council. On some positive notes, today we received notice that our free cash was certified. So just like to thank the finance team, because as you know, it was a challenge to close out the end of the year. But the end of the year was just recently closed out, and for us to get our Schedule A and get that certified, that was done relatively quickly. So I thank everybody that's worked very hard in the finance department in regards to that. Our free cash was certified at $3,027,493. We did find some things that were offset the original number, and we'll be working on processes. And a lot of that was because of the staffing that we've changeover that we had over the last fiscal year to this fiscal year. A lot of things that had to be accounted for with grants and all that. It was mostly grants and the posting of grants. So we'll work to make sure we come up with a great plan for this fiscal year as we move forward on that. But a lot of hard work on that. Our sewer enterprise fund and water enterprise funds were also certified. So now as we work through the budget, we're able to make some determinations on some projects and work with the DPW director in regards to that. But it's a lot of hard work by everybody. I certainly appreciate it as we move forward on the budget cycle. And finally, today I received an email. It was from Abby Govern from Congressman Nail's office. Hello, I hope this email finds you well. I wanted to reach out with you on an update regarding your FY24 community project funding. On March 9th, 2024, President Biden signed House Resolution 4366, Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2024 into law, the final step in the government funding process. This piece of legislation funds the Department of Agriculture for FY24 and included funding in the amount of $1 million for construction of the Southbridge Fire Station. In the coming weeks, we expect the Department of Agriculture to be in contact with you regarding grant materials and next steps. On behalf of the Office of Congressman Richard Nail, we extend our sincerest congratulations. Please let us know if we can be of helpful in a process or any questions. All the best, Abby McGovern, the Office of Richard Nail. So that was great news to hear today. So today we received news that $1 million for the fire station, our free cash being certified. So I know I explained like 6 months ago when I first got here that we're taking a deliberate approach to make sure that we're accounting for everything. And that approach, while it's frustrating to councils because you want to see a lot of fast movement, we are really closing out these programs and trying to build a solid foundation for the town for the closeout of this fiscal year and moving into next fiscal year. And that's all I have this evening, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Moving on to Citizens Forum. Are there any citizens that would like to address the council or speak to any issues that are not on the agenda here tonight? There is nobody at this time. Moving on to presentations. We have no presentations tonight. Moving on to agenda item number 9, vote to approve an accounting department transfer of $16,000 from account 0011-125781100 council reserve to the account 0190000530000 special services audit to pay for $6,000 additional fixed asset audit work and $10,000 for the enterprise fund indirect cost analyst.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Shinya, seconded by Dow. Discussion. Town manager?
Through you, thank you. I appreciate the consideration to bring this directly to council. As part of that financial explanation, I should have also said that we just finished up the audit last week. Our in-house audit was completed last week. Now they'll have some fine tuning to do. They're still awaiting some things on the school side, but most of the town stuff is all done. So that was great to have that done as well. So basically what's come out of this is working with Michelle Dean in discussions with the auditor. We have to, GASB, whatever number it is, we're required to do to have a fixed asset schedule for depreciation. That's a very cumbersome program. You can do it in Munis, but if you don't do it correctly, there's a lot of issues with the Munis side on that. So our auditor has stated that they will do the fixed asset portion of that for a one-time cost to the town, and then it would just become part of their regular audit process. So this $6,000 would just be a one-time cost, then become part of the audit. So that's very important for us so that we can have depreciation schedules and have everything quantified. The $10,000 for the enterprise fund indirect cost analysis, the last time that was done was in 2022, which took a look at, was done for FY22, was done in 21. So it's been a few years since we've had an analysis done of indirect costs. We really should be doing this on a annual basis, if not at least 2 years. And what that does is take a look at what our indirect costs are for water, sewer, cable, and we also had budgeted into this next year's budget the curbside enterprise indirect costs. Part of that is when you do your recaps and your DLS, Division of Local Services, you have to make sure that those indirect costs can be quantifiable and accurate to the best of that ability. So, and then given the fact that we have a new enterprise coming online, we want to make sure that we allocate the costs correctly through each enterprise fund. So that's why we're going to do this analysis. So that's what I have for that.
Any discussion by council? Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. So when you do an audit of the enterprise funds, does that money get reimbursed into the general fund from the enterprise accounts?
That's why I have Dean here.
Dean?
First, good evening, everyone. First of all, it's not an audit. They're doing an analysis to see what costs that are funded in the general fund budget can be reimbursed from the enterprise funds. And when you consider in totality, we're looking at a number in the area of $1.5, $1.6 million. We need to get it right because it is heavily scrutinized by the state. They just don't let you pick a number and say, we're going to charge this. So yes, the short answer to your question is yes. That will be part of the indirect cost that we'll be allocating to the enterprise funds to bring that funding back into the general fund.
All right, thank you.
Any other discussion? Questions? If not, thank you, Dean.
Okay, thank you.
All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to agenda item number 10. Vote to amend the November 6, 2023 meeting minutes due to a typographical error in the item number 11 from account number 001911-5822, 58200-300 to account number 001911-517200-0300.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Shinya, seconded by Dow. Discussion. No discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to 11. Vote to allow the town manager to notify Viola North America Northeast LLC to not renew the contract for the wastewater operations pursuant to the contract 6 months before the November 30th, 2024 contract expiration date.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Dow, seconded by Shinya. Discussion. No discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present.
Yeah, it was unanimous of all at the subcommittee.
Moving on to 12. Vote to authorize the DPW director and the town manager to prepare and issue a bid package for the contract services for the management of the wastewater treatment plant.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Shinya, seconded by Dow. Discussion? If no discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to 13, vote to add signage at Ellis and Gulfwood Roads as recommended by the Traffic Commission.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Shinya, seconded by Dow. Discussion? No discussion, all in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to 14, vote to add signage to improve the safety concerns for residents with the use concurrent walking signals in the main street core area of the town, as recommended by the Traffic Commission.
So moved. Second.
Motion and second, discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. I'm not opposed to it. I just want to say that most of the residents that I talk to, the biggest traffic concern downtown is the elimination of the arrows on Main Street. Left turn arrows makes it very difficult to turn left. People are always trying to beat the traffic. Some people have suggested that you at least maybe delay one side a few seconds. It doesn't have to be long, but just something to ease up the constant trying to beat the arrow to get across, to get on the left lane. And there's left turn arrows on Central and Elm Street, which make no sense. There's no oncoming traffic, so Main Street is the main problem. But thank you, that's all.
Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to 15. Vote whether the town council should approve applying for a $30,000 through the Mass Preservation Projects Fund to complete a town hall facility study for the total project cost of $60,200 with the town's 50% matching funds coming from the Town Hall Renovation Project 63390, raising 75% of the project cost per the grant requirements to cover temporary cash flow, or I got a blank here, it looks like $45,150 from the Town Hall Renovation Project 03390.
639.
I'm sorry, 63390. And reimbursed and allow the town, I'm having the problem here, with town manager sign all related paperwork.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion, second, discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Town Manager. Went through DBW. subcommittee on this, but just making sure that everybody understands that it's a total cost of $60,200, right? But we have to come up with it, we're going to eat 50% from the town, right? But we have to raise 75%. We'll be reimbursed that extra 25% later on by the state, just so everybody knows. It's a real long motion here. Just wanted to make sure town council and everybody else understood this. Total cost is $60,200. We have to come up with 75%, where we're going to be reimbursed 50% at the end of the day. Just want to make sure everybody was good to go on it.
Thank you, Chair. Through you.
Councilor Dow.
So after we do the study, we're going to fix the town hall, or it's going to sit on the shelf like everything else?
No?
No.
There you go.
Under this council and this manager, I don't think so.
Thank you. I hope so.
I would like to, I would like to see an actual document that brings some construction to aim us in a direction to start construction on the handicap ramp, the roof, the leaks, the various upgrades. I think this has been a long time coming, but we had to put a town manager in place, put a finance department together. We had a lot of work to do, but I hear what you're saying, and I think that this is the first step, and only this council and this manager will be on our shoulders to get the job done.
Thank you. Can't wait.
Any further, Mr. Town Manager?
Just through that. I understand your frustration. Real quick, we met with the library today. There's a bunch of projects on that end. When we had conversations with her, there's some state aid that she's had in an account that possibly could fund some of those projects that she needs done right away. So we learned that today. We'll get on it. We got the procurement team into place, and we'll get going.
Thank you.
Councilor Luis?
Through you, Mr. Chair, what is the timeline for the study?
We're going to apply for the grant. If we get the grant, we would do it as soon as possible. If we don't get the grant, to Vice Chairman Marquette's point, we do have monies allocated. We'll just take it out of that account.
Okay. Thank you.
But we'll get it done.
Thank you.
One more thing.
Go ahead.
Last year we applied for this. We got denied, or it got shot down. So we're just reapplying. I know Councilor Marquette had mentioned that with Ms. Dean, and so that's why this motion is on the table, to reapply for it.
I think we're all in agreement that do nothing isn't an option, especially when we got on council and there was a waterfall coming off that left wall. All right, moving on. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present? Vote to enter into a memorandum of understanding between the town of Southbridge and the town's public schools to establish terms under which Southbridge Public Schools facility staff will utilize the town of Southbridge, DPW, Department of Public Works facilities, and allow the town manager to sign all related documents.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second?
Second.
Discussion? No discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to 17, vote a Department of Public Works transfer request for $10,000 from account 001499 511000 salaries perm to account 001499-511-700 overtime to cover the additional overtime for potential storms or projects.
So moved.
Motion. There's a motion and a second. Discussion. No discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to 18. Vote the town manager's transfer request, $2,000 from account 0011-123 519700, town manager's car allowance, to account 001145571100, treasurer collectors conference and meeting to cover the, I'm drawing, my eyes are getting a problem yet. My glasses are scratched.
MMA.
Yeah. The MMA conference that the treasurer collector attended instead of Councilor David Adams, and also attend a annual conference. I'm drawing, I got something wrong with my left eye, guys.
Want me to read it?
Yep.
Additional,
If I
and
could.
attended an annual conference in June as those costs were not budgeted by the prior treasurer collector.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion. If no further discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous, all present.
Want me to read it?
No, I think I can see it. I don't know if the glasses are scratched. Vote the town manager to transfer request for $10,000 from account 001499511000 DPW salaries perm to account 0011 55524 data processing to replace server hardware at DPW with the virtual server software to be installed at the town hall due to failed server hardware. Wait a minute.
You got it.
All right, the failure of the software. The
So
motion is a second.
Second.
Discussion. Something is left. Go ahead, Counselor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. So this was not on any subcommittee meeting. I was just wondering why not. And, when did this failure occur? The paperwork that was included with the packet happened back in February, so I think there would have been plenty of time to get it on a subcommittee. Just wondering why it didn't make it to any subcommittee meeting.
Town Manager.
So, it did happen earlier in February. IT Director Victor Rule had been working on this issue. We were on a temporary server, a backup server. He was trying to see how it would work on this virtual platform, and last week he realized, he came up with, it was working okay after he did some testing with the DPW director down there to make sure that everything was working to what they needed. So it was either come to the Capitol with a capital request for a brand new server that would be hosted there, or do this virtual. The reason why it didn't go to subcommittee, he did come to me last minute with this to say, hey, can we get it done? He's not going to be here on March 25th because he's on vacation. So, and also he wants to get this done sooner than later because it hosts all the information for the DPW. So it's on a backup server right now, and he wanted to make sure that he got everything ordered, installed, in place. So that's the short of the long on why it
So
took
are
place.
are they going to buy a server or just
No,
do
it's
it
going to be
this-
done virtual. No.
Virtual?
Yep.
And that's $10,000 for virtual?
To buy the software for that. So it's a purchase of the software to be able to do that. We will be coming, I think, if you remember correctly, he had come to ARPA about the whole server here in the town hall. That's going to be a bigger conversation later on to replace the server here, but this would take how they were backing up information down at the DPW. Everything would be done here in the town hall through a virtual server.
Would it be cheaper just to buy the server, wouldn't it?
No,
No?
no.
Servers are that expensive?
They are, plus to try to maintain them and the backup of them all, this gives a much secure network, cloud-based server.
All right, thank you.
Counselor Adams.
So everything is going virtual at this point in time. No hard servers or redundant servers are being put really anywhere. It's not a great idea to do it because you can lose one and then not have the other. And just like we find ourselves now, we're struggling just to maintain, as data goes in there, we're losing spaces, and then we still have to buy licenses for Microsoft. So this is really, you're also looking at the license fees that we have to pay for, which is very expensive annually or every 3 years. It depends on the contract. Thank you.
If I may, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, Andrew?
And we're also looking at the library one, because the library has a server down there as well, but he believes that hardware server will be okay, but to Councilor Adams' point about the licenses that we may have to purchase, so this was his recommendation for the security of data for the that department, because they were down for a day, possibly two, and lost 2 days, and lost their budget updates that they were putting in, so they had to recreate a lot of information. So we don't want that to happen again.
Any further questions? If not, all in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Number 20, vote to approve applying for the CDBG mini entitlement FY 2024 grant for $925,000, the code enforcement and infrastructure, and authorize the town manager to sign all related documents.
So moved.
Motion by Shania, seconded by Dow. Discussion? Town Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. Last year, we're going to do Central, or North and Mechanic, and I believe the cost for that was about $400,000, $450,000, I think. It was part of the Ellis Road project. And then National Grid came in and started digging up North Street, so that got canceled. I think that money got transferred to Gulpwood Road. So now this year, or whenever it starts, I'm not sure when it's going to start, but it's going to be $770,000. And that's going to include all the smaller streets in between, as the town manager explained it to me. It's in the packet as well. But those smaller streets weren't part of last year's road improvement. Just wondering why we're doing it this year. And also, why we tried, when I was on DPW, we tried to get National Grid to chip in for some of the costs of this road, since they're the ones who are digging it up and causing us to have to come back in and repave the whole thing. At one time, we were talking about taking a look at the trench bylaws, so I was just wondering what was going on with that, and has there been any discussion with National Grid to get them to chip in on some of this work? Thank you.
In regards to the side streets, I'm sure Peg will articulate this as well. Those side streets is because that core is the area that we're targeting, that CDBG would be allowable to be used. So while we would like to do some streets in different section of town, it's all a comprehensive area to clean up one whole area. We're using grant money that we target a specific zone. I would think that would be it. As far as National Grid, I know I've had conversations with Rich about National Grid. He's had conversations with them as well, and we would try to, whatever we could get from National Grid for those streets that they have worked, we will do that. I don't think the trench bylaw has anything to do with it. I know Rich has been very aggressive, I think, on the trench work since he got here. Unless there's further information, I'll gladly get information from him to provide.
And if I could just, one more thing. Who did the cost analysis for these streets? I mean, there's a whole list of each street and how much it's going to cost.
DPW director, that's what he does.
All right.
Any further discussion? Not all in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to Councilors Forum. Councilor Rivas.
I just want to say on that last item, I appreciate all of the work that PEG does to make sure that all the areas in our community are getting upgrades and getting money to fix the roads in different areas of our town, so I appreciate that. I also wanted to share that I went to a legislative breakfast in Holyoke on Friday of last week, where the MMA group presented information on the governor's budget and sort of gave a timeline where the House and Senate will come out with their proposals or their votes in April and May. And they talked about a few things that are relevant to us here in town. They talked about the municipal aggregation, just reminding people that we voted on a couple of weeks ago. And they talked about the Department of Public Utilities investigating to seek to streamline that review and approval process, so that would be really helpful to our community if that can be streamlined. I know the presenter kind of wasn't sure how long that would take for our community, but if they're able to streamline that process, that will be some relief for families maybe in the next year around utilities. As we know, the cost that gets more expensive and more expensive for families and for our residents. They also talked about some regulatory updates around waterways and resilience regulations, about amending licenses for projects in waterways to better reflect consequences of climate change, and also talked about wetlands protection regulations and adding new performance standards impacting development in coastal floodplains responding to sea level rise, which don't necessarily apply to us. But in that same area, they talked about stormwater standards and would update precipitation data to reflect current standards and align the state practices with EPA's requirements for pollutant management. So just different things that could impact our community around regulations. And I was able to meet the mayor of Holyoke during this legislative breakfast, and he did talk about being open and excited to work with Southbridge, and he mentioned the meeting that he had with our chair, and he's hoping to come and visit us here in Southbridge with his delegation. So I look forward to that as well. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Councilor Dow?
Thank you, nothing at that time.
Councilor Senya?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Today I had the opportunity to represent the Southbridge retirees at an Insurance Advisory Committee meeting. And I just want to say it's a pleasure going to a meeting when you have the management team and everybody related to that management team all on the same page and understanding the needs of the community, the needs of the retirees, and the needs of the employees. It's the first time I've been in the Insurance Advisory Committee for a long time, and this is one of the first times that it was actually a pleasure being at that meeting and understanding the type of insurances that are being offered, the reasons for the insurances being offered, the understanding of the cost related to these insurances, and Cook and Company was very, very good, and Nora, and again, the treasurer's office, the manager's office. It was a pleasure to be able to sit there and be understood on what changes are coming forward. And one of the main topics was one that the town manager brought forward earlier when he first was hired, was that penalty that we were paying, and how Cook and Company is going to work with the insurance to provide that insurance that we were lacking. But again, I just want to thank the town manager and his team for working this out and better understanding to the employees as the time goes on. Thank you.
Councilor Montague?
Thank you. Just want to shine some light on one good thing that happened at the schools this week, with nothing to do with administration, all to do with our fine students. They won, I believe, a trip to nationals for the Southbridge varsity cheerleading squad, which is nationals is a pretty big stage. So congratulations, and that's all I have.
Councilor Adams?
Just one correction. Our DPW meeting was on the 4th, not the 3rd. Nothing else.
Councilor Ortiz?
I have nothing, thank you.
Councilor Marquetti?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, this is good news to hear that Congressman Neal came through the funding for the fire station. Hopefully we could find some other funding for that building and get that thing past us. The other thing I wanted to bring up, and I'm glad that you said that the curbside information is going to be going out. I know I bring it up every meeting, but today I still haven't received anything. A lot of residents have been asking me about when are they going to receive the information, because they'd like to know the cost, when is the billing going to come out, how do they opt out, how do they opt in, and the best way to do it is through the mail. Not everybody watches the meetings, not everybody goes on Facebook, YouTube, so the best way to do it is through the mail, and so a lot of residents are asking about that. I know, it's 2 or 3 weeks away before we start this program. what's kind of aggravating is that we had these meetings, curbside garbage collection meetings over a year ago, and we voted on this way last April, and health departments had all this time to get this thing ready to go and sent out to the residents. I mean, all they were waiting on was the fees, and we voted on that in January, so this seems like a pretty easy task for them to accomplish. If they can't accomplish this, how are they going to deal with the problems that they're going to face with this curbside once it gets going? I noticed that Casella was supposed to send something out 45 days in advance, and it's no surprise to me they've already violated the contract on that. So I'd like to get this information out to the residents so they can plan for their curbside garbage collection. And that's all I have. Thank you.
That concludes Council's Forum. Moving on to agenda item number 22, discuss next meeting date. Vice Chairman?
The next meeting is Monday, March 25th, 2024, 7 p.m. in the council chambers.
Agenda item number 23, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Montigny, seconded by Shinya. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous vote, President.